I did come in as an assistant audit manager. That was the level at which I came in. So what was unique about my leadership style? So as I mentioned already, obviously, there must be the opportunity for you to move. But before the opportunity comes, you should have been prepared and ready enough for
being
that.
Being a TA, be a UCC awardee, being an ICAG awardee yourself. I would like to, delve a bit deep into that. If someone is starting a career in finance today and they want to, move from whichever country, it could be Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, to the UK to pursue, a career in finance accounting, do you have courses that they can take to better themselves and increase their prospects?
So you do have the knowledge, but then how you put across that knowledge, I guess it goes differently with who you are dealing with. So first of all, trying as much as possible to understand who you are dealing with. And as an individual, you do need to know how you want to be seen when you are not in the room. What you want people to think about you. So then it means that there is some level of consistency that you need to consider when you are trying to establish your individual.
Hi guys, welcome to the FinPlug for you. So I'm Ernest, and today we have a very special guest with me, and we are going to dive into his journey of, moving from Ghana to come to the UK and then pivoting into finance and accounting. And so in the world of accounting and finance, this amazing guest has done marvelous. He's, achieved so much. So from winning top awards in Ghana to building an international career in the UK. Today's conversation will be packed with lessons you don't want to miss. So let's jump right in and don't go anywhere. Welcome, senior man, to the FinPlug for you. We are very honored to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Ernest. I'm honored to be with you on your podcast. So as a way of introduction, my name is Ivan Stete Oje. So I currently work as an audit assistant manager in KPMG UK, specifically in the Leeds office. But I began my career way back in KPMG Ghana a few years ago before I relocated. Before that, I had completed University of Cape Coast reading Bachelor of Commerce Accounting. And I think that should be a short intro of myself.
Okay, wow. Thank you very much for such, an amazing introduction. I mean, I followed you for some time, and I think your journey is very inspiring. Now, let's start from the beginning. You graduated on top of your class, and then you swept like multiple ICAG awards. That is no small feat. What actually drove this level of excellence, if I may ask?
I guess it's more of the way you do anything is how you do everything. So personally, I've worked with whatever you do, try to give off your very best. At least give off your very best, and however the results come out, you'll be able to embrace those. So I guess with a combination of my hard work, with a combination of the people around me, my tutors and my colleagues who helped me along the way, I was able to get to all of those. Not to forget to mention the God factor as well.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned God in there, because without God, for some of us who are believers, I mean, it's been God from day one. So
exactly.
It's really amazing. And then it shows how far you can go if you have God in your ship. And you did mention that you went to the University of Cape Coast. And looking back, how did your time at University of Cape Coast prepare you for this journey that you've been on?
Yeah, I believe the University of Cape Coast is exceptional in the way it prepares students for the world. So a number of factors, how they go about giving student quizzes to write, group studies, and every other thing. I believe all of those sort of shape you for how you play out your career and your life when you are in the main corporate world. So typical example, there were a lot of group studies that you do, and you find out that when you start working, it isn't more of an individual accomplishment. You do need teams to work in. So sort of prepared me I would say, for how I ended up.
That's amazing. That's really, really nice. Yeah. I mean, I also went to the University of Cape Coast, so University of Competitive Choice. I know how difficult and challenging, it can be. So, UCC, we are very proud of you. I mean, you're a top guy. And I know you were also a teaching assistant in the University of Cape Coast. So did that influence your leadership approach in any way or form?
Yeah, so as a teaching assistant, I believe you would obviously be assisting your lecturer in teaching various topic subjects, and I was a teaching assistant to a lecturer who was in charge of financial reporting across multiple grades. Now, the thing about being a teaching assistant is you do need to understand your target students, so those you are actually leading, and that means that you should know how to go about the lecturing so they can understand. And I believe that has sort of shaped how I lead, in that I try to understand who my target people are, which means that I would not try to give everyone the same, I wouldn't use the same approach for every single individual I meet. I try to understand where they come from, and that to some extent then means they can easily follow me and I can carry them along while we get to do our work, because we do work in teams a lot in
Okay.
my work. So
Okay. Okay. Nice. So if I understand, in your teaching assistantship journey, you tailor, each like the things you need to teach and the approach and everything to each student needs or group. Is that correct?
yeah, so mainly the group, because you would often be teaching a group of people, but then I
Okay.
guess asking questions, you get to know the different personalities you have in the room, so you can carry every single one along.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's good. I mean, it's very, amazing and inspiring that once you get the knowledge or you gather the knowledge, you're able to, spread it across to people. I think it's very important, and also it's more like giving back to the society. And
Exactly.
yes, it's also, one of the reasons why I started this channel, by just, giving back to the society, helping people, also achieve their goals and aspirations. So I would say that's a really, really good thing you did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, thank
that's
you.
really nice. Okay, so I mean, you've given a background as to when you were in Ghana and all that, and then you've mentioned that now you are an assistant audit manager. So we can now move on to the second segment of this podcast, which is the leap to the UK. In terms of moving to the UK, what motivated you to actually move to the UK, and how did it actually happen? Because I know it can be very difficult and daunting. There are people in Ghana who are, who wants to take this journey, but then some people are just scared. They are literally scared, or they don't know someone who has taken this step. So if you could walk us through, how you transition and your journey, I think it will be very much appreciated.
Yeah, so first of all, you do need that opportunity. Obviously, there must be the opportunity for you to move, but before the opportunity comes, you should have been prepared and ready enough for that. So I would say I did get my professional qualifications, which sort of meant that I was competitive enough on the global market. And now, when that opportunity came, you obviously need to reach out to people who are already in those spaces, just to understand the requirements of such, so you can prepare for all the interviews and every other thing that needed to follow. Now, in doing the relocation, it's good we do have people around which you can always ask a lot of questions. So you building relationships that can help you answer all the questions you need is quite relevant, essential, because I would say that's what made the relocation a bit easier. That's what helped a lot when I was doing the entire relocation process. And yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for answering that question. I think it was very on point, and you've elaborated enough. And you did mention three key elements from what you said. One of them is the preparation. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So as much as you are waiting for the door or the window of opportunity to open as an individual, if anyone is watching this, I think it's very important to prepare yourself. And by doing so, you did mention that you also took professional qualification. I've stressed it time without numbers that having professional qualification can actually, go a long way. So like ICAG, ACCA, SEMA, CFA, and all that. So thank you very much on touching on that. And lastly, one thing I took from that answer was people. Networking is very key, guys. If you are watching this, you need to actually network. If you don't have a LinkedIn, you need to create a LinkedIn. You need to connect to people because no man is on an island, and networking will actually help you, get to your goal. So thank you very much, Evans, for touching on that. And I know you moved from Ghana to the UK. What were some of your biggest cultural and professional challenges that you faced once you moved to, the UK? Because it's two different systems. Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's very different the way things work and the way things work back in Ghana. Purely, especially when you want to look at your professional growth or your growth in your career. Things which worked in Ghana may not necessarily work in the UK. Now, how do you know that? You can spend probably 1 year, 2 years trying to figure out what it is, but those are 2 years gone or 1 year gone. What you could then do is, okay, speak to people who already are here to understand what it takes to excel here. And if you speak to those people and you get to hear them, that's one part of the problem. So the second part is you do need to practice what they tell you. And that has been my journey. So I did have a number of conversations with people who were already here just to understand how things work here. And the other aspect, which is important, is I then look forward to put those things into practice. Then I will go back to those people to say, well, you said this, I did that, this is the results, what next? So that continuous coaching from all these individuals then helped me to smoothly adapt and to grow. Now, in terms of the shock I realized, so one, after having those conversations, I then came to discover that, well, if things that were working in Ghana, which helped me excel professionally, those things don't necessarily work here. So you do need to know those. So that was a first shock. And the other thing was how people worked in the UK. So there is a difference in how communication is done. And all of those things also need adaptation. But then thankfully there are people around who you can speak to learn from them, so you can easily adapt. And you wouldn't want to find yourself wasting 2 years to find them out before you are putting them into practice. Yeah. Unless you are not very keen on your development in terms of how fast you want to grow. But if you want to grow fast, it's best to do so through learning from others.
That's good. That's really amazing. Yeah. So I think, it's very key that, because even when you move from, even in the same country, sometimes when you move from one region to another region, there are like different cultural shocks. So like you mentioned, it's really good to learn from the people because that's the easiest and fastest way to do it. So yeah, thank you very much. We'll now move on to the third segment. In this part of the world for, people like yourself to rise up the ladder and then, perform so well and lead a team. So in your field, which is audit and assurance, what are some of the leadership skills that you have learned that you'll be able to share with our audience?
Yes, I did come in as an assistant audit manager. That was the level at which I came in. So what was unique about my leadership style? So as I mentioned already at the beginning, trying to adapt to who you are dealing with, right? So that was helpful. So you do have the knowledge, but then how you put across that knowledge, I guess it goes differently with who you are dealing with. So first of all, trying as much as possible to understand who you are dealing with. And as an individual, you do need to know how you want to be seen when you are not in the room. What you want people to think about you. So then it means that there is some level of consistency that you need to consider when you are trying to establish your individual reputation, if I'll put it that way. So that, while you do those consistently, then in the minds of people, if they think of Evans, then they know that Evans is someone who probably can get the job done, even seeing someone who, if it's difficult and you give it to him, he'll sort it out. So all of them need consistency, and of course, because I've just relocated, no one knows me, no one knows about me apart from my CV. So I need to build that consistency so I can build that image about myself. So yeah, I think those should be the little bits that helped.
That's amazing. Yeah, you did mention about consistency and building yourself. I would like to, delve a bit deep into that. If someone is starting a career in finance today and they want to, move from whichever country, it could be Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, to the UK to pursue, a career in finance and accounting, do you have any kind of qualifications or this one that they can take, or certain let's say courses that they can take to better themselves and increase their prospects?
All right. So first of all, I guess your professional qualification would be your minimum expected requirement, because that means that you already know what everyone else knows here. I guess that's the main idea for professional qualification, standardizing the knowledge across board for everyone else to know. Now, once you arrive wherever you arrive, it's really important that you need to understand how things work where you find yourself. So those relationships are quite useful. I'm not sure if you can find a lot of resources available for the region specific where you find yourself in, but a very useful resource will be individuals who are already where you are. So try to understand from them how things work in those spaces, and after understanding how things work, they definitely will give you certain suggestions and you should be able to put them into practice. I guess people tend to speak a lot to others, but then they may not really be keen to put those things to practice. So it's quite important that you put those things into practice, and hopefully it may not work out just 1 year, because you do need some form of consistency while you are putting those things to practice. So probably a year to give yourself those the space to be consistent while you are delivering those things, and hopefully they should all work out in time.
Thank you very much for the piece of advice. Yeah, I've taken a lot from this thing and I'll take it on board, my senior man. Okay, so we are about to wrap up, but Evans is also a YouTuber. So he does videos on finance related topics. And like he mentioned, he was also a teaching assistant. So you are in safe hands, guys. Could you please throw a bit of light on that so that people watching will be able to follow your channel?
Yeah, so I do have a YouTube channel called FM with Evans. So this was something which I came up with when I was helping some students prepare for ICAG, that's the professional qualification in Ghana. I think it's a level 2 paper, which is financial management. So after doing the preparation with the students, I realized that it would be really good if something like this, which I had taught them, was available somewhere. So it's actually meant for anyone who is preparing for that particular paper, or you want to refresh your knowledge about certain finance elements. So I think it's quite a good it's a good place if you want to just refresh your knowledge or prepare for the paper. So it's FM with Sir Evans. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sir Evans. I mean, I've checked it out and you have like really, really good content there, I must say. And guys, with his background being a TA, being a UCC awardee, being an ICAG awardee, I mean, you are really in safe hands and you are very much going to find a lot of insight if this is a topic you are interested in, or you can simply just check it out. I'll put the link in the description box below so that you guys can, check his channel out, subscribe, follow him, and then put my name there that, yeah, I mean, you follow via this video. So thank you very much, Mr. Evans. Now we will move on to the final segment, which is, advice and reflection. Before we wrap up, I'd like to give you the floor. Do you have any final advice for anybody watching this who wants to, advance in their career as well?
All right, so there are a lot of things I've said throughout the video, but what I'd just like to summarize is that if you find yourself relocating, as I did, it's quite important to understand what works in the new environment that you find yourself in. You'll be surprised there are a lot of people available who can give you a background of how things work and all of those. They would even come up with suggestions, and it's important that you take steps to put them into practice. Don't find yourself spending time to find all the loopholes, and those would have been years spent. So try to get those advices, put them in practice, and hopefully it should all work out.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you very much for the words so sweet. I mean, a senior man like you giving us, insight, advice, and everything. I really, really, appreciate you joining us today. And I must say, this has been one of the most inspiring conversations I've had on this platform. Your journey from UCC to the global stage and your mindset of excellence, I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah. So thanks once more for coming on board. And we look forward to, seeing you again. We wish you all the very best, senior man. And guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and don't forget to follow Senior Man. I'll put the link in the description box. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot for watching. Like, comment, and hit that follow or subscribe button on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And don't forget the bell so you never miss a video.